Hello, I'm going to explain Bitcoin to you as simply as possible. I'm going to try and do this whole video without any edits, but we'll see how it goes. So here we go. Bitcoin is, I've yet to find a good explainer of Bitcoin on YouTube or on the internet. The only explainers you can find tend to go into quite a lot of detail about Bitcoin and miss a fundamentally important point, which I think is why a lot of people don't really understand Bitcoin or see its profound importance in the world. That's because when people explain Bitcoin, they fail to explain money first. And if you don't truly understand money, you won't see any value whatsoever in Bitcoin. Even if you understand it in great depth, you won't see why it's important. So I'm going to explain Bitcoin, but mainly this video is going to be about explaining money and then why Bitcoin is important in that context. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll understand. Now, if you don't understand, you can obviously just ask me questions in the comments. This channel is just going to be set up for this video and making other videos if people ask specific questions, just about Bitcoin, basically. Feel free, of course, to ask questions about other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin is the main one for a number of reasons. Okay, so anyway, to recap, the number one reason why people find it complex is because they do not understand money and thus see little value or no point in learning. To understand Bitcoin, it's crucial that you first understand money. Now, I went on Google and did a bit of searching, and one of the first things that I came up with, I searched under the properties of money, you can search under the properties of money or the important characteristics of money or whatever. You'll find things like this. This is just, I think, one of the first things that popped up. It's an explainer about money and how it works and what characteristics are important. I will link this one under the video so that you can have a look at it yourself. But you can find these things. They all pretty much say the same thing. Now, the same thing that they say is this. So I'm going to use three examples of money. Gold, which has been used in the past on many occasions. Dollars, US dollars, one of the biggest fiat currencies, paper, printed money out there, and Bitcoin. Now, these are the characteristics here: divisible, fungible, portable, durable, acceptable, uniform, limited in supply. Okay, I've highlighted limited in supply because that's really, really important. That's probably the most important critical characteristic of money. So divisible just means you can split it up into small parts, so small equal parts. So basically you need small amounts because you want to be able to buy and sell anything with it, from a house to an egg. Okay, so you need to be able to have the equivalent of pennies, cents, whatever. Fungible, one unit it needs to be interchangeable with any other unit. So $1 somewhere needs to be worth the same as $1 somewhere else. Now, a good example of fungibility, not something that you would think, oh yes, dollars are fungible. Well, actually, dollars aren't fungible because they have serial numbers on them. And as soon as you put serial numbers on them, you give the government the power to devalue specific notes. Okay? Now, you'll hear all these stories about money laundering and crime and all this kind of stuff. But you really don't want to have a situation where your money can be, the value of each individual note can be controlled by a central authority. Portable. Obviously, you need to be able to carry money with you. I don't need to explain to you that sticking gold bars in your pocket is somewhat impractical and also somewhat dangerous. Durable. The money must be able to withstand being handled and thrown around. So gold will be highly durable. Dollars, not very durable, but the thing is, because the government backs dollars, when you get a damaged one, you can just take it back to the government and they'll swap it for a good one. Okay. acceptable. People need to be able to accept these type of accept money for payment for things. So it needs to be acceptable. So gold is acceptable. Dollars are acceptable. What people don't understand about gold actually and silver is that it's actually illegal in many places to use gold and silver as a currency. So people say, oh, well, you can use gold and silver. Well, actually, you can't. If you start minting silver and gold coins, you'll be in trouble very quickly if you start trying to put them into the actual monetary circulation. Uniform. Well, uniform just means each unit, well, here you say all versions of the same denomination must have the same purchasing power. Yeah, so again, $1 in one place should be worth the same as another dollar in another place. Simple as that. Now, limited in supply is the crux of this whole discussion, basically, because this is where you have a massive problem with dollars. Now, if you start talking to economists about this, Keynesian economists to be specific, they will start waffling on all this utter crap about how you need to be able to control the interest rates and the money supply, so you can basically throttle the economy up and down. But the problem is with this is that you can throttle the economy up and down. It gives the government massive control over the economy. They can decide one day to print a load more money that devalues everybody's savings. It causes all sorts of knock-on effects in the economy. That's an entire debate in its own right. But I'm going to make I just want to get you thinking about these things so you can research them for yourselves. I'm not telling you what to believe here. I'm just saying dig deeper and look and try and understand this for yourselves, because it's profoundly important. What's happened in history has happened over and over again, and many of our problems in the modern world are caused by the existence of fiat money and printable money. Okay, so these are the things you should study, but focus on the supply limitation and consider these things in relation to gold, dollars, and Bitcoin, okay? I'm not going to go into much more detail. I've pointed you at the right information. You really have to research this yourself, but what I'm saying is look at the limitation in supply. That's critical. When you start thinking of everything based on that, it all starts to make sense. Now, Bitcoin, I'm going to explain it very simply because it is actually very simple. If you imagine a spreadsheet like this, and each user has a balance here, like this, and each user has a thing called a public key, which look like these things here. That's it. That's Bitcoin. That's how it works. You've got the users, their balances, and these things called public keys. Now, of course, it's not quite that simple, but let me explain. If I want to send someone money, I need their public key, right? If I want to send someone Bitcoin, I need their public key, okay? I have a similar thing like this called a private key, which looks similar, but only I have that information. And I need the private key to send my Bitcoin to someone else. And that's it. That's how it works, okay? All the other complexity around it is about limiting the supply. Back on here, keeping the supply limited. Because for one reason or another, which involves a lot of maths, cryptography, and some supreme complexity, the whole Bitcoin ecosystem is about limiting the supply, and that's it. So all you really need to know is, you don't need to learn how the fine details of how a car works to drive a car, okay? You don't need to understand Bitcoin to know, understand how Bitcoin works to know how to use it. It's very simple to use. So just remember this: you need the public key to accept Bitcoin, and you need the private key to send it, and that's it. If you've got more questions or detailed questions about how it works or how you get into it, whatever, stick all that stuff in the comments and I'll answer it for you. Okay, just to make that point again, to spend Bitcoin, you need to, how to spend Bitcoin, sorry. you can pay for things or buy national currencies with it. So if people say, oh, Bitcoin, you can't spend it anywhere. Well, no, you can use it to store value, or you can use it to buy national currencies, or there are plenty of companies that accept Bitcoin in payment. Now, you can get paid in Bitcoin as well. The whole beauty of Bitcoin is you can get paid 24/7, 365 days a year. It operates constantly. No one can stop it. Doesn't matter whether the government or some government agency decides whether you shouldn't be allowed a bank account because your social credit score isn't high enough or whatever. You can use Bitcoin whenever you want, however you want. It's literally like having a numbered Swiss bank account, and anybody can use it. Bitcoin mining, I'm just going to mention this because you'll hear about it all the time. It's just about the security, the money supply and transaction fees. There's a significantly large computer network that's required to make this thing work, and to keep it decentralized and safe and make it all work, you have a process called mining, which again, if you've got specific questions, I can answer for you. Now, why all the bad press? Because you'll hear about Bitcoin and money laundering and terrorists and it's all so horrible and I don't know, Charlie Munger, the Warren Buffett's sidekick, said it's like harvesting dead babies' brains or something. I mean, these people are psychopathic. They don't like it. The reason why they say that is because they understand fiat money. They understand the printed dollar that's printed on paper from nothing, created out of thin air and then given to people. They understand, and they realise this is a threat to the whole system they've been scamming us with for a century. So this is why people in power hate this thing, because it's a threat to their power. If you look at what fiat money is, if you've got a government and you can just print as much money as you like, then that's like playing Monopoly with a bunch of other people and hiding a huge stash of money under the table, not telling anybody else you've got it, and then wondering, they all sit there wondering why they keep losing all the time. And you're not you're not even a better player than them. That's a very good analogy for what fiat money is. Anyway, it's a threat to government power. It's a threat to the entire banking industry, and I think also people are ignorant about it and are scared of new things and don't really understand it, because it's very clever, and they think it's, until everybody's using it, they won't believe it. Some people will never be convinced until they're forced to use it. And also, it's kind of a techie, nerdy thing that people are, because of that, it turns off a certain type of people. And of course, this constant association with money laundering, crime and terrorism, which is utter nonsense. I mean, the dollar is used vastly more for these things than Bitcoin. It's just they like to link it. The media likes to link it to that. The media is owned by the same people with the same interests as the corporates and the government. So they're going to make these silly connections. Money really should be a fundamental human right, sound money. It absolutely should be, because it's like water. It's critical for people to operate at the most basic level, and there's absolutely no way any government should decide who can and can't use money, who can and can't have access to a bank account, who can and can't buy an asset or a house. Those things should be fundamentals that are open to everyone, apart from the worst type of violent criminals. So, what next? Oh yes, like, subscribe, share, whatever. I'll put in the links below. Sorry, I'll put the links below to the infographic, and I'm going to put in there a link about from Margaret Thatcher in the British Parliament joking about the European Central Bank, because she basically says, clear as daylight, that central banking is all parliamentary power. I mean, there you go. She understood it. governments understand this. They don't talk about it because they don't want the public to wise up and take this from them. And for the first time in the history of humans and money, we now have a tool that we can use to take this from them if people will just damn learn it and use it. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. I hope it's useful. I hope I haven't confused you. I remind you again to think about these things. If you go through these things and understand the clearly, these features, and then you think how gold, how dollars, and how Bitcoin work, this will help you understand everything, and at least get you to a point where you can ask some questions in the comments, and I can help you. Also, I'm sitting here thinking about this. I'm going to put another link in the description as well. There's a chap called Eric Voorhees, and he's having a debate with a gold enthusiast called Peter Schiff about gold versus Bitcoin, and it's a very nice debate. It's a very interesting one. I'll get you thinking more questions. Anyway, if you actually want to get some Bitcoin and use some Bitcoin, I can explain how to do that as well. There's various ways you can get into using it, at a very complex or very simple level. Just again, get in contact in the comments. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that made things clearer for you and got you thinking about this. It's not so hard to get your head around. It's very important you get your head around this. This stuff isn't taught in school. It's absolutely outrageous that it isn't taught in school, because the fiat money, fractional reserve banking, which is another thing you can look up, these things have destroyed much of what was good about the West. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and see you another day.